Hey, this is Adam Newman from Adam Newman Talks, and I deliver practical career and business advice to young people so that they can understand some of the things that people use in business and they can use these tactics in their everyday life. Last video I did was on negotiation techniques for beginners, and a lot of people wrote to me and said, that was great, but I'm not in the negotiation environment very often. What I'd like to know is how can I get better prices on things in just a general everyday situation where there's no negotiation involved. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you about supply chain and also give you some tips and techniques to get discounts and deals on everyday big ticket items. Now I know the internet's basically taken over the marketplace, but researchers found that 90% of big ticket items still happen in store, or at least you go in and have a look around at the item to decide what you want before you go and purchase it online. Now in that case that you're in a store, you're better off going and asking for a discount in the store than you would be going online, because you have the power to negotiate and you have the power to ask for a discount. So I'll give you some tips and tricks, and I'll give you some techniques so that you can ask for deals and hopefully you can gain some discounts. Now it's important to get discounts. You might not get 50%, you might not get 40%, hell you might not even get 20%, but 10% or 5% in every time you go to the store and buy something ends up being money in your back pocket. And the earlier you start doing it in your life, the better the outcome is going to be. Now there are a couple of very quick tips that we can get out of the way early on. And the first tip when it comes to getting a deal is to be nice. Always be nice. Always be very polite and respectful of the person that you're talking to. Some people think I'm going to walk into the shop and be a real hard nut and I'm going to show them who the boss is. I guarantee you that you will get a better result if you are nice. Niceness costs nothing, and you are more than likely to get a yes answer if you are a nice person. The second tip is just ask. You can remove a lot of these steps by walking into a shop and saying, hey, you've got this item here for $500. Can you knock 10% off for me, please, because I'm a nice guy? You never know. Shops have the capacity to discount. They give their staff discount. They give their staff members, families discounts. They often give repeat customers discounts. All you need to do is tap into that, and if you can get 10%, then that's a great result. The third and inalienable technique, and this doesn't apply to shopping, this applies to basically everything in life, is do your research. And the internet makes it easy for us. If I'm going to go out and buy a big ticket item like a car, or I'm going to go buy a new camera for my videos, what I want to do is find out what that model is, put it into the internet, whether it's eBay, whether it's bestbuy.com, or whether it's compareandbuy.com, and find out that model, what is physically the best price that I can get for it. And I can take that to a retailer and say, hey, I know that this shop is doing this for this price. Can you match it? And you put pressure on the retailer to match the price. They might not meet it, but you never know. It is a good technique, and oftentimes it works. I'll put a little caveat on that though. You have to understand that when you look online, it's very frustrating in Australia. Oftentimes you find things in the USA or the UK that are much, much, much cheaper, but they have bigger economies of scale. They have more people that live there. So you have to make sure that you convert that price to Australian dollars before you compare it, and you also add the shipping costs in. Further on is understanding supply chain. Okay, now why is it important for you to understand what a supply chain is? Because businesses spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in trying to eke every dollar out of their supply chains in order to get more money off of you. And a supply chain is defined as the network of transactions that bring a good or a commodity to the market. So if it's, you see on the little icon here, I have a sheep at the beginning. If we're looking at an item of clothing, the wool or the cotton has to be grown on a farm, and then it goes through several steps: warehousing, production, distribution. Then it gets sent to the store, and money is added at every step of this. And as the consumer, as the person who walks into the shop, the supply chain is loaded against you. You're the one with the highest expectation of cost. Now, if you understand how the supply chain works, you will understand where you can gain discounts. An important tip is usually it's better to deal with independent retailers for this reason. A company like Apple, for example, controls very tightly every step of the supply chain. They control the mines where they're pulling out the silver and the cadmium for the iPhones. They control the shipping companies. They own the factories. They own the store. They own every step, which means you basically got no chance of getting a discount. But if you go to an independent retailer, you know that they negotiated a price with the next step down the supply chain, which is the wholesaler, and you may be able to tap a couple of percent out of that. But you know, the further you get down the supply chain, it will be cheaper. Pulling up to the farm gate to buy a piece of fruit directly off the farmer is going to be cheaper than walking into an inner city supermarket, just because you're buying it straight from the source. And this is why the internet is generally cheaper, because they don't have that additional stage of bricks and mortar retail where they have to pay their staff. So knowing and understanding the supply chain, knowing where the money is, and knowing where you can eke a discount out is a very important strategy in life. But those first three ones, and I'll run through them again. Be nice, cost nothing, and it may mean that you negotiate a discount straight off the bat. Just ask. And make sure you ask the right people. It always helps to talk to the manager rather than somebody that doesn't have any authority in the store. But if you do not ask, you do not get. And don't be afraid to walk into a store and ask. Know where the money is. Understand the supply chain. Do your research and get as far down the supply chain as you possibly can. Let me know how it goes. Go out there and buy some things, start accumulating some discounts. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Hit subscribe. I've been Adam Newman from Adam Newman Talks. Good luck and go get them.